We're back here on the bonus round on GT, still hanging out with the young, thin, and beautiful Tim Schafer, Nathan from Cappy, and
you feel great there, yeah.
Clifford Blazinski, ready to announce his new studio at some point in the future.
Wait and see.
Wait and see.
Wait,
Might not happen.
Gonna try and get an exclusive here?
Might not happen, Cliff.
We'll see. It's business
You can't
negotiations. Everything's touch and go. There's
You're not
nothing's
retiring,
guaranteed.
right, Cliff?
I'm bored.
Are you bored?
Yeah, I finish Reddit every day. I get to the bottom and it's like the little alien's like, "You're done. Just go outside, read a book."
Are you playing a lot of games now?
Yeah, I'm stuck on South Park right now.
Okay, you like that?
They got away with murder in that game. I absolutely love it. It's just fantastic. And you can tell Trey and Matt actually wrote it and like did all the voices. And I think they had no idea what they were in for. Like the amount of work they have to do with it.
Seasons of work.
Yeah, exactly. But they crushed it. It's a blast. There's nothing innovative in it, but it's an example of narrative really enhancing the experience. Right. I want to know where it goes. It's great.
So let's talk about the kind of games you guys are gonna be making, and Cliff, you come out of a world where it's like make $60 box products, stuff like that, and now Nathan, Tim, you guys are experimenting with different ways to fund things, but also how to release things. And, you've Broken Age, you split into 2 pieces, and you're doing downloadable stuff. I mean, what model do you think? And Cliff, you mentioned before free to play. You seem to be on like the free to play bandwagon in a big way, right?
Well, I mean, free to play is one of those things. It's like if you say open world, like what does that mean, right? And like, there's good free to play like League of Legends, and there's bad free to play like Candy Crush, right? You want to make a game where the user says "shut up and take my money," as opposed to the one where it feels like they're kind of reaching in your wallet and tricking you out of your money. With all the like weird, like how the money feels like it's being laundered in the game. Just it's very dodgy, those kinds of things.
But it sounds like you're thinking very much like whatever you do next, you would want to play in the like free to play space.
I would love to because the partner I'm talking to has extensive experience in it, and hey, you want to play the game? You can try it. There's no gate there.
Right.
There's nothing in the way for you to just fire it up and actually give it a go, and then if you enjoy it, sure, throw some money in it, right?
Well, I think a huge part of what the future is a lot more significant interaction with community and building, not just building a game and then hoping a community comes. It's building a game and a community like as a whole. And for us, that's a very different thing than what we've done in the past. I mean, we're used to kind of making products and releasing products and treating people who enjoy it as the community. But I think the idea of moving forward, like having things, early access is an amazing example of something that 2 years ago we never really saw, and now we're looking at something like Don't Starve or something like Rust or DayZ or all of these games that are they're building community as the game comes together, and the community is informing it. Obviously, there's still someone really maintaining a strong vision, and that's crucial to anything good creative. But the fact that there is going to be so much space for, like you mentioned, direct-to-consumer, I think you go to PAX and you see how many people are there specifically to have fans play their game. And it's kind of, GDC is like summer camp for game developers, whereas PAX is where real business is done, I think, because that's the consumers, because that's a community. And for us, it is a drastic shift, and it is the future, but it's something that you can actually do right now, and I think that's just going to get bigger and stronger, and free-to-play is a component to that. Like, it's an amazing way to build a community because you don't have to ask them for anything first.
And we were kind of dragged into that. We kind of backed into it. And with our Kickstarter, the Kickstarter showed us how much people want to be part of you making the game. They don't just want to play it when it's done. And just by financing it, they were like, we were all thankful that they gave us the money, and they were like, I'm so excited that I got to make that game happen. And now I want to watch it get made and watch the documentary and contribute to ideas and I don't really know the entire future. I've never really been good at predicting the future, but being able to be agile enough to have lots of smaller games going on at once lets us try one early access game, like Space Base is in early access and is doing well, and some other games with more traditional launch, but it definitely. Have you found, like, because you have, as you said, experimented with all these different models, are there certain models that are better for certain types of games or audiences, or do you think it's all going to eventually, you're going to say like, oh, this is how we should do all our games? Well, yeah, I mean, like we were doing the 2 indie fun games we did, Space Base and Hack and Slash. Space Base is really much more tailored to early access because it's a system-driven game where we want to see what people do with it, and we don't know exactly what they'll do with it, and they want to make let's play videos of it and put them up on YouTube, and it's really suited to that, and that kind of feedback loop that happens with that. And whereas Hack and Slash is more of a, definitely has that kind of player choice in it, but you have to have the release plan that's right for that game.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do early access for like a narrative-driven game.
Like
then you're like, now I'm playing through it, and they changed that one line of dialogue. That's great.
Because you want to be friendly to like the Let's Play people. We always want to be really open with them. But when they do Let's Play Broken Age, I saw in the comments like, that looks like a great game, but now I don't need to play it. Because they basically saw the entire experience and I'm done.
I think there's, on the flip side of like releasing games, I think like Amnesia Fortnite, we do a lot of internal jams. I mean, our next game, Super Time Force, started as a game jam game. And these kind of experimental ways of developing content or developing ideas and seeing what actually turns out to be interesting. I think the days of like, you know, going that regular kind of like, here's the script of the entire game and this is how the whole thing gets made, and then that's it, are going to kind of go a bit by the wayside. And we're already seeing big publishers start experimenting with that kind of internal jam, like Child of Light at Ubisoft is a small team, and Pat Pleward leading, you know, 20 people or something like that. That's a very direct departure from a Far Cry 3 team. And so for us, with like, we had 3 people at the studio go to a game jam, basically make Super Time Force and bring it back to the studio and say, hey, what do you think about this? And we can actually pick up a controller and play an idea instead of, you know, storyboarding an idea. And I think that puts a lot of power in developers' hands. And going forward, that is something that I can see tons more studios embracing, and especially with how kind of public and amazing Amnesia Fortnite is, because you got the 2-player guys making it look beautiful and really documenting it in the way of a documentary, but also how open you guys are with the whole process and the challenges. And all of a sudden it opens up the ideas of like, making games is not a straight path anymore. And I think going forward, it's going to be winding and crossing, and everybody's going to come up with a great idea their own way. And I think that's very freeing, but it also, I think, will result in way cooler ideas, way more interesting things.
What you're doing essentially now is you're having transparency, you're going direct to consumer, and you're essentially turning your average consumer slash fan slash user into a mini developer. One of my favorite things when I was at my former employer was to get a new build notice in an email, and I would go through all the little goodies of all the things the gameplay programmers had put. I'd fire up the build, and I'd check out the new melee, I'd check out the new weapon, I'd check out the new movement, right? All these different things. I'd give notes, things like that. That's what the plan is to do with the consumers. So, you know, maybe even once a week, new build, new build, new build. You get online, everyone gets invent. Oh, what's new? Oh, they changed this one weapon or this one movement. Oh, I like it, I don't like it. Go to the forum, but engage, engage, engage. And, you know, do, you know, the regular video podcast. It's almost like a reality TV show. They get to know the developers. They understand why the decisions were made. It's not just this corporate wall of bullshit that's there anymore. That wall has fallen, and it's only going to continue to get better. And, you know, bringing my fans of my work over my 20-year experience to come forward and see what I work on next. And if, you know, you do these video, you know, reality TV show podcast type things, they get to know the different developers. So it's good for the developers too, because if there's a programmer who decides he doesn't want to be at the company anymore, he brings his fan base to that new company, right? And so it's just a beneficial scenario for everyone involved.
Where's the Cliffy B cast?
Working on it.
It's coming?
I need to assemble my Avengers. So I need, you know, my biggest strength is I know my weaknesses, and I need to surround myself with people who kind of fill in the gaps.
Cliffy B on camera 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Picking my nose,
Live
digging,
Twitch stream,
for
right?
gold.
I bet that will happen in Cliff will be. This is exactly how I've always imagined it should be.
Yeah, no.
Could happen.
It's
You
not.
guessed at least on your documentary series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll pop by.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, well, when we come back in the bonus round, we're going to talk more about where games are going in the future, right here from GDC in San Francisco.